Hi, welcome to the PC session, Doorbell. Prepare yourself for the most important session, where we feed our brains with information. So, grab your thinking hats and dive right in. This course is designed for students who are familiar with PC, hexagonal coding and with input and output devices. On completion of this course, students will be able to use external output device with PC, use external input device with PC and perform programming using conditional statements. Have you ever got scolded for not opening your room when your parents call for dinner? While it may not be intentional, you may have wished to avoid it, isn't it? The reason for this delay is usually us listening to songs, using earphones, or watching movies, and missed the thumping on the door. So, how we avoid a situation like this? We can create a sound alarm like a doorbell to notify us. How can we make a doorbell? What all does a doorbell contains? Well, a doorbell requires two major components, an input device and an output device. Input devices are devices used to give information. Output devices are devices that give results of the given information. What will be the output device for a doorbell? It is the sound. Thus, the output device required must be a component which can make sound. What can we use to create sound? Of course, the PC. PC has an inbuilt beeper, which can be used to create a doorbell. Now, we need an input. What will be the input for our doorbell? Correct, the switch. But, have you seen a doorbell switch at your house? If you have noticed, it is a bit different from other switches. For a conventional switch, when you turn the switch on, it remains on. Whereas for a doorbell switch, you have to keep it pressed to keep it switched on. Such kind of switches are called tact switches. A tact switch goes back to its initial off position when not pressed. So, we use tact switch as the input for the doorbell. Let's now look into what have we learned. Till now, we have learnt about input and output devices, tact switches, and their application, and the difference between normal switches and tact switches. Let's look at the task for the day. We need to create a doorbell using beeper of the PC and a tact switch. Now let's look at the materials required. The hardware parts required for the project are a PC, a port cable, a power bank, one USB Type-C cable, and we need one input device, which is the tact switch. The output device is the inbuilt beeper of the PC. Software requirements. We need upload app and algorithm for this project. First, we will create a circuit diagram of PC, along with the tact switch connected to the PC. We will use the inbuilt beeper of the PC as our output device. We will enable and control the chosen part in the upload app. We will see this in detail in the hardware section. For now, let's build the algorithm. Algorithm. Algorithm is the plan which helps us understand the flow of the program and in turn gives us the vision to code. As you can see in this algorithm, the beeper is to be turned on if the tact switch is turned on. And if the tact is turned off, the beeper must be turned off. But this is not the only algorithm. Let's look into an alternative algorithm. If you will look to this algorithm, the conditions have been swapped. In the previous algorithm, we first checked if the switch was on. But in this algorithm, we are first checking for the off condition of the switch. The way conditions are checked does not affect the output of a code. The necessary part is that both conditions should be continuously checked for, to know whether the switch is on or off, irrespective of what order are they checked in. Now let's see what have we learnt till now. We have learnt about requirements for the project, creating algorithm for this session, and the working of an algorithm. Time for action. Combine your knowledge and skills to bring about the best possible outcome. Now that we have learnt about the requirements for this session and we have also created algorithm for the project. Let's start our mission. We have two parts, hardware and software. For hardware assembly, we will choose a port and connect tact switch to it. And for software integration, we will enable and operate only the specific ports to which modules are connected. Now that we have learnt about the requirements for this session, and we have also created algorithm for the project, let's start our mission. Let's get on with the first part of our mission. Let's first connect the hardware. Collect all the required hardware parts. To complete our task for the day, we require a power bank, a PC, a USB Type-C cable, a port cable, and a tact switch. As we know, PC has an inbuilt beeper in it. Let's try to control the beeper using a tact switch. Tact switch is a variable input device, which is different from slide switch, since slide switch should slide towards right or left. But in tact switch you have to press the button or release the button. As we know, any external device should be connected to the PC port. Now we have seen the connection. Let's try to code. In order to code, we need to power the PC. To power the PC, we require power bank and AC type USB cable. Let's code. Now let's move on to the software part. Here in this project, we use a decision function to make the beeper beep only when the tact switch is pressed. For that, we use the decision function. Let's understand more about the software part. Open the Plod app and click on Code. Then Project Based. New project. As we have seen, we have used inbuilt beeper. So let's select a beeper as an output. As we remember, we have used external component in order to control the beeper. So let's select the tact switch and press Next. As you remember, we had connected the tact switch to port C. Let's do the same, drag the tact switch and connect it to port C. Once the connection is done, let's move into coding. Before beginning to code, let's have a look again to the algorithm we created. First we will code for condition 1, which is, if the switch is off. As we have seen in the algorithm, we require decision. Click on Tab and select Decision. First, let's set the button equal to 0. Once the condition is done, let's put the action. When button is not pressed, we need our beeper not to beep. So enable the PC and set the intensity to 0. End the decision. Now we will code for the second condition, which is, if the switch is on. Now we need one more decision, that is tact switch equal to 1. For this decision, we need an action. Action is to turn on the beeper, enable the beeper, and then set the intensity. End the decision. Since we need this action to be repeated, so let's loop conditions. Once the code is complete, let's upload it. Once you upload the code, let's test the code is working or not. We have coded in such a way that whenever we press the button, the beeper should make some noise. As long as I press the button, the beeper keeps on making some noise. Once I release my hand from the tact switch, the beeper goes off. This is main thing about tact switch is whenever we press the tact switch, it goes on. Whenever we release the button, it goes off. Give yourself a mental stir to recall the concepts, and let your ideas guide you towards success. We have finished our task for the day, and in doing so we have learnt about input and output devices, tact switches, and conditional statements. Now we will use this knowledge to complete a challenge task ahead. And the challenge for the day is to use one external tact switch module to make the beeper beep and make RGB LEDs glow. You can first design a circuit diagram for this challenge. Then create two different algorithms using which this challenge can be completed. Next, assemble your PC, then create the code based on any one of the algorithms created, and finally upload the code. Moving on to the tips for the challenge. You can select the beeper, RGB LEDs and tact switch from the select section, and connect the tact switch in the assemble section of the Plod app. Make the code with the decision block to make the beeper beep and to make the RGB LEDs glow. Wish to learn more? Click here to learn about different types of tact switches and their specifications. I will meet you in the next session. Until next time, make crazy. Play crazy.